The fact that there was no Star Trek news or controversy for me to make an opening statement about says it all. The state of the franchise is terrible. Well, there is a little news. This week, a Star Trek movie premiered. Star Trek Batavia. Or Batavia, I should say. It's a Dutch fan made movie, so it's amateuristic and non official. It's a bit like everything Star Trek did after 2005. This is the review of Champions, and I'm your host, Grandmaster. With me is a powerful panel made up of Taylor and Merv. And yes, we are the greatest champion cigarist ever. So, this is episode 26 of the Star Trek Project, where we will be reviewing Star Trek, all of it, in order of release, kinda. And today we're going to talk about Star Trek Deep Space Nine Season 5. But before we do, I want to ask you all to help us out. Like, share, and subscribe. And join our forum at socardonfreeforms.net. Just click on that link in the description, people, and please do it. You can set up an account and you can talk to us directly. You can even join us in our shows. We would love it if you do that. As mentioned before, we will be discussing the 26th episode of Season 5 of Star Trek Deep Space Nine today. And let's dive right into it with our section called Grandmaster's Picks. And in Grandmaster's Picks, I get to pick a few episodes where the champions, Merv and Taylor, in this case, have to sign off on. And for this season, I picked the following episodes: Apocalypse Rising, the double feature In Purgatory Shadow and By Inferno's Light, and the last one I picked is Call to Arms. And, well, Taylor, you as a Star Trek veteran, I let you kick off first on these 4 episodes. Let's start with
Apocalypse Rising, right?
Exactly.
They go on the secret mission to expose Gowron because Odo thinks Gowron is a shapeshifter.
Yeah.
He got that when he was in the link, when they were punishing him and turning him into a solid. He saw some glimpses of what he thought was Gowron is a shapeshifter. So this is a fun episode because they all get to disguise themselves as Klingons, sneak into the Klingon celebration going on where they're promoting people to be Gowron's bodyguards or something to that effect. But it turns out that it is, in fact, Martok who is the shapeshifter. And when that happens, 24 Klingons blast him into smithereens, which is a really fun scene when that happens. Okay, but that brings about the ceasefire in the ongoing war with the Federation and the Klingons. So this is just another example of the Dominion trying to undercut the Alpha Quadrant to get the Alpha Quadrant to destroy itself so that they can just walk in and take it and just, by the skin of our teeth, manage to prevent that from happening.
Of course. And then we have that double feature. And I assume you have a little bit more. Or did you actually like this episode?
The double feature? You mean the...
No, the first one, Apocalypse Rising.
Oh, yeah, I love Apocalypse Rising.
The double feature, In Purgatory Shadow and By Inferno's Light.
I like those even more than Apocalypse Rising. Those are just great episodes. Worf and Garrick get captured. They're on a Dominion prison camp where they find that there are, in fact, survivors from the Cardassian and Romulan attack on the Dominion. And one of them, of course, is Garrick's mentor, who we find out is his father. And he is the one who managed to get out a signal to bring them there. And then he passes away. So a really big emotional roller coaster or emotional arc for Garrick. He has to overcome his claustrophobia in order to complete the plan to escape. turns out Julian is a founder, which is a big twist because Julian is there in prison and they're waiting. We left you on DS9. How did you get here? Oh no, that's not me on DS9. That is a founder who is just imitating me.
Mhm.
And then in the to be continued, of course, in Inferno's Light. Um, I mean, let's say favorite part of the series is Worf kicks the shit out of a whole bunch of Jim Hadar. it's
Yeah,
just
absolutely.
it's just fun, and he of
Yeah.
course he wins the respect of Martok, who is in there as well, the real Martok. After we had destroyed the fake Martok, we find out that the real
Mhm.
Martok is still alive, and he's there. And of course, going forward, this relationship between Martok and Worf will become a very very big thing.
Mhm.
Um,
And yeah, this episode is also marks the invasion of the Alpha Quadrant by the
right,
Dominion and the
exactly.
betrayal of Golden Cup.
Yep, just getting to that, which again is one of my favorite moments, is when the uh, fleet comes through the worm. Of course, they escape; they make it back just in time, but the fleet is right hot on their tails. The fleet comes through. They think there's going to be a big battle. They think they're going to attack Deep Space Nine, and instead they take off, headed, and they say they're headed for Cardassia, and then Garrick, with his stolen bird of prey, takes off, and um, Benjamin thinks he's trying to stop the stop the fleet to save his beloved Cardassia, and it turns out nope, he orchestrated the whole thing. He set it all up, and he's going to become, the Dominion's going to install him as the leader of Cardassia, and as their Cardassian allies, they're going to take over the Alpha Quadrant. It's just a huge event.
Mhm. Yeah, these two episodes for me always when I would do a rewatch, these two episodes always mark the beginning of the end for me. With the invasion and then everything, you have to get like 2.5 seasons of Dominion War basically, which starts off as a kind of Cold War and then it turns out into a full blown war. And it changes Worf, it changes the show, it changes everything. And I think these two are essential episodes if you watch Deep
Yeah,
Space Nine.
yeah, and there's a couple of other small points in there too. There's a Breen prisoner in this prison camp. At the end of this, the Klingons now have a military presence on DS9, and Martok is the commander of it, so he's going to be a much, virtually a regular character for a while. And there's just a mention of what's going on in the movies, because they mentioned a recent Borg attack, referring to
First Contact.
First Contact. Yes, thank you. So again, just a few Easter eggs in there as well. So yeah, those are really good, very not just great episodes, but essential episodes.
Yeah. And then, of course, the last episode, Call to Arms.
Yes. Well, one more thing on that one, on Inferno's Light. At the very end of that, again, another example of the Dominion trying to take over without putting themselves in any danger. They actually set up this conspiracy to blow up the Bajoran sun, which would have taken out the Romulan fleet, the Federation fleet, and the Klingon fleet, and then they would have had complete control. And again, good thing we're really smart people in in the Federation, because we were able to figure that out and prevent that from happening as well. So tons of twists. All right, let's get to the other one, which is Call to Arms, which is the season finale.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things I like about this one is right at the very beginning of this episode. Um, the Dominion makes their treaties with Bajor. They make their treaty with the Romulans, um, and Wayoon is meeting with Benjamin, and they're talking about peace, and they're talking about how we can, coexist and how we can avoid conflict and everything. And then when the meeting's over, they're both like, "Yeah, we know we're going to war. That was all just to just to save time, or to save time, and we are going to war. It's going to happen right now." And then, of course, we have the big Cardassian Dominion attack on Deep Space Nine, which is, just one of the most spectacular battle scenes. Of course, the Defiant is laying the minefield in front of the wormhole,
Mm-hmm.
Martok has to protect them while they're doing that, so his ship is taking out Dominion ships to protect them, so they can make sure they get those last mines laid, so that we can stop any more Dominion ships from coming in.
Mm-hmm.
And the war begins, and then we find out that you know uh, Benjamin knew they couldn't hold Deep Space Nine forever, so it was all set up to destroy everything when he left, and that there was sort of a trick to get the Dominion. While the Dominion was attacking Deep Space Nine, the Federation and Klingons were attacking some Dominion shipyards in another part of the galaxy. And at the very end, the Reliant joins the fleet, and it's just like, we're let's go to war. Let's take this whole thing back now. So again, just a great episode of television, and just
Mm-hmm.
just so well acted, so well written, and just sets up the next two seasons beautifully.
Especially the first part of season 6.
Yeah.
But I'm going now to our Star Trek rookie who is watching Star Trek for the first time. So we've been raving about Star Trek Deep Space Nine. You're now finished your watch.
Halfway through the final season. All the shows, all the other shows we've been watching, kind of ate into my TV time. So
Okay, okay, okay,
I
okay.
look forward to finishing it very shortly.
Well, season 5. I think it's maybe the best season so far in Deep Space Nine. Do you agree?
Yeah, I think I think my perspective is I've enjoyed each season a little gradually more than the previous season in general. There may be
Mm-hmm.
outlier episodes, but because everything is so continuous and builds upon the things that happened previously for
Mm-hmm.
not only individual character developments but overall plot arcs and things like that, and the fact that they go back to the well on a lot of things, like what might feel like one-off episodes or two-part episodes, have an impact like a season and a half later or whatever. I really enjoy that. So every new step feels like even grander than the ones before it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'd agree that at to this point, I think it's the best season of Deep Space Nine. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Well, let's talk about those 4 episodes. Let's start at the beginning, of course. Apocalypse Rising. Uh, like Taylor said, Odo finds out that Gowron is a changeling. Turns out it's Martok. But the fun part is you see those guys as Klingons all of a sudden, and they have to act like Klingons. And the one who has the most trouble, strangely enough, is not Odo, but it's Orion.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a lot of fun there. Anytime we get to surround ourselves with Klingons, I tend to have a blast with it. Just their overall just demeanor, I think, just appeals to something in me. Um, and in them
Apply.
going like super spy on this covert mission was really fun. Um, struggling to fit in during the drinking and all that stuff. I thought that was a blast. And then the reveal that it's not Martok or it's not Gowron, it's Martok. At this time in this episode, I was very happy because having met Gowron several times before, I really grew to enjoy Gowron. And I was like, oh, glad they're not going to kill Gowron or he's not dead already and replaced by a founder, because that was my assumption. So at this point, I was like, oh, good, get rid of Martok. I think I only saw him like once before. And then little did I know how big of, he's becomes like a kind of a pretty important side character moving forward. So,
It's
and I,
actually one of my favorite Deep
yeah,
Space Nine characters.
and I really wound up enjoying him like by the time where I'm at now in season 7. So
Hmm.
I'm happy that he didn't die, but the twist during this episode, or that reveal and that moment of who do we shoot? I mean, like that was really fun.
Hmm.
And like like what Taylor said, like uh, I like that this puts an end to the fighting between the Klingons and the Federation, because I enjoy the Klingons on our side more than I enjoy like anybody else. I kind of like that they're with us, even if they're unruly and rambunctious.
Mhm.
So I really like that this kind of starts that. Like, okay, they're on the same page, and we know, how ferocious they can be in battle. So it's really good to have somebody like that on your side if you're going to enter a war, which they kind of do by the end of the season.
Well,
Um,
speaking of how great they are in battle, the
yeah,
next two episodes.
yeah, yeah. Fantastic, absolutely fantastic two-parter. Um, the first one, I think the real like kicker, like the moment I was like, ooh, was the Bashir reveal. Like everything else is fantastic, but that moment, and I'll admit, like at the moment, I was mildly confused. I didn't put two and two together that he was replaced at that moment. I was like, are they trying to, what's going on here? Oh, it took me a second to like get up to speed, and I apologize for being a noob on this, but so that really, really sold it. And then when every time we cut back and we get to see Bashir through a different lens, that's always really interesting. And then of course, by Inferno's Light, Worf in the fighting pit is just gold. I could watch that every day. Him just beating the crap out of people is where he belongs. It might not be where he wants to be, but it's where he belongs. And the fact that he wins, I mean, not only Martok's respect, which can be expected because they share the same culture, but the Jem'Hadar captain basically forfeits because he doesn't want to kill Worf because he has so much more respect for him after this, and it's so uniquely like Klingon and Jem'Hadar, like
Mhm.
that it's fantastic. Like I just I kind of wish that there weren't all these pesky, Vorta and founders and all this other stuff in the way, because I think they could get along quite well if they just, put their knuckleheads together.
Wait until you get to Starfleet Academy.
Okay.
They did get along, but
Yeah.
that's another story.
Yeah.
And there is the one moment in this episode where the Klingons also show their respect for the Cardassian spy who faces his own fear, the greatest enemy a man can face.
Yeah.
I absolutely love that moment when Martok and Worf speak to each other with so much respect about Garrick.
Oh yeah. Him showing them how he's facing his fears to assist everything and everything like that. It's just fantastic, and it's another notch under the Garrick is awesome belt, which is growing longer by the day. He's just such an interesting character to watch. Every time they give him the spotlight, his everything about him is just interesting. His thought process, his morality, his motivations, and everything about him is just fantastic to watch. Even here where he's just locked in a thing trying to repair a thing, but he's dealing with claustrophobia, like just that, it's just like it makes it. He's one of the more interesting characters in all of Star Trek that I've watched so far. And I love it every time they give him something to do. And in this, obviously, this is a very Garrick central two-parter, so it's no surprise that it's awesome.
Mhm. And
Um,
what did you think of the reveal that Anabran Tain was his father? That he was
it,
a
yeah,
bastard child.
it puts a lot of the relationship into perspective from the previous episodes that they were featured.
Mhm.
There's again, it adds another layer too. The fact that he's probably like feels like he has something to prove. Like all he wants is a respect from the man. And it was a really nice, touching moment for him at his deathbed, essentially.
Mhm.
So yeah, that was interesting. I it makes me like look forward to, because this is my first time through and I'm seeing all this for the first time, so all the twists and stuff. So I don't have the time yet to rewatch, but it does make me look forward to like rewatching certain episodes under new information
Mhm.
and revisiting it, knowing where things go and stuff like that, and trying to read between the lines. So I really look forward to that someday.
Yeah, you are becoming one of us that regularly rewatch Deep Space Nine. I'm sure of it.
Yeah.
But anyway, let's move to the other final episode I picked before you guys get to sign off on your favorite episodes. That was Call to Arms, I think. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, easily one of the best finales that I can think of. The escalation, natural. The moment that Taylor mentioned where it's like we go through all these motions and then it cuts to we're going to war. Like that is like abruptly funny. At that moment, it's just like everybody knows each other here. We know this is all just a facade. We know none of this matters, and our defenses are now up. So that was great. The space battle's awesome, and the fact that the show's called Deep Space Nine, and we have to evacuate the station. So aside from a handful of people, we don't have Deep Space Nine anymore next season. I thought that was like an amazing clip. It would have been funny and whatever if they would have renamed the show for season 6 Empok Nor or whatever the
Tarek Noor,
yeah.
That would have actually now that you mention it, and I have never thought this until you mentioned it. I think that would have been great.
That would have been it would have been really funny from like a marketing perspective to just rename the show in season 6, because it's not Deep Space Nine anymore. Somebody else.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
An excellent finale. Probably one of the best overall. The only one that comes to mind is the one in The Next Generation with the Borg. Whenever I believe that was a finale.
Best of both worlds.
Yeah.
Well, actually, not going to spoil anything for you, but this season finale aired at the same time as the season finale of Voyager Season 3, Scorpion. And actually, I will put that one right up there.
Okay. I look forward to that.
Yeah. But this is absolutely great. And just want to mention one of my they're all my favorite characters. I'm sorry. But one of my favorite characters is the evil genius that came up with the self-replicating minds, blocked the wormhole, and started. So in the end, it's all Rom's fault.
Yes.
Yeah,
self-replicating cloaked minds.
Yeah, it's brilliant. Evil genius. My God.
He's had a glow up since he was cleaning table at Quark's.
But it also called back to what Nog said when he wanted to join Starfleet and had to tell him why. My father is a mechanical genius and he could be chief engineer on a starship. And actually, this episode kind of proves that.
Yep.
So, no disrespect to Rom, people. Yeah. Okay. My episodes were great. They were a little bit focused on the overarching story, start, middle, end, and the rest is in between. But I couldn't pick them all. I did that for season 7, but we'll later about that in a few months. Taylor, you had some time to think about an episode. Which you wanted to discuss.
I could talk about a whole bunch of episodes. I'm just going to mention a few that have particular pieces of information in them.
Then we switch it a bit up. Otherwise, you take steal all of Merv's thunder.
The first one I want to mention is episode 10, which is Rapture, which is the episode where Bajor is going to be admitted into the Federation. But, of course, Sisko, as the emissary, has some visions, which at this time, we don't know what it all means. But that this is not a good idea for them to become part of the Federation. And I love the image, the vision he saw, which was a swarm of locusts pass by Bajor and go to Cardassia instead. Foreshadowing big time there, the Dominion. I just thought that's just really cool the way they are foreshadowing what's coming there.
Yeah, I love this episode also because this is actually an episode where Sisko starts to embrace his role as emissary,
right?
Really for the first time, and he actually gets a connection with Kai Wynn during this episode. And,
he does.
That I think it adds another layer to this whole show, that this religious aspect, the Bajoran religion, is a very important aspect of this whole show, and it comes really to the foreground in this episode. Excellent, big thing.
Yeah, and in the next 2 seasons, it really becomes
Yeah.
important too. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Merv, you also had an episode to talk about.
Yeah. Probably a mildly obscure one, maybe not necessarily super important, but looking for Parmok in all the wrong places.
No, I love that episode. So
For
talk to me.
for so many reasons. Again, it may not be like the most to do with like the whole Dominion problem or anything, but I love the relationship issues in this one. The love triangle essentially between Groka, Quark, and Worf. The fact that Worf immediately sees Groka and is like, "Oh, who's she?" But she's already like kind of got a thing from a previous episode with Quark, and then Quark's whole situation where he has to fight a Klingon again. You know, he's always getting in trouble anytime the Klingons show up. And then Worf helps him with that, despite his wanting to maneuver him in the love aspect. Meanwhile, Dax is over here, like basically begging Worf to get with her, and he just doesn't see it. Also, in the side plot is pregnant Kira and Miles O'Brien start having a little like affection for one another and things like that, and it like their chemistry is actually really good in this episode, and it's like you can see that like they're this close from ruining everything, because I don't know if Mrs. O'Brien would have really appreciated that.
Well, Mrs. O'Brien is the one actually driving them into each other's arms.
She's like, yeah, go on this romantic cruise together. I think yins both could use a break, and they just look at each other and they're like, okay, you need to get off this ship right now. And it's like, are you sure? Yes, get out, Miles. Like there was a whole lot of romantic entanglements going on, and by the end of it, of course, Worf and Dax are pretty much together, if not confirmed. Miles resists his urge for Kira, and that whole thing kind of separates. But again, it was super tense during the entire episode. And then Quark gets Gruka again. She just can't get enough of that guy. This episode was so much fun for me, and all the relationship entanglements. I found it super interesting from that perspective. So I love this episode.
Okay, you can look for your next one. Then I go back to Taylor.
So many. I wasn't even going to talk about this one, but I have to. Trials and Tribulations.
Yeah, come on.
Just gorgeous. It was so beautifully done. It was so seamless. The way they were able to put, and I love how they were explaining all this to the Department of Temporal Investigation, which I don't know if we've heard about them before this point in the universe or not. Maybe we have. But they're explaining to the Department of Temporal Investigation how they went back in time to stop a disaster from happening. But I love that they brought back the actor who played the Klingon spy in the original series, and this was all him trying to get his revenge. And one of my favorite parts of it, though, is the bar scene where Scotty and Chekhov and the other guy come in and sit down, and O'Brien thinks the other guy is Kirk, is Captain Kirk. Well, it turns out that actor, was actually Shatner's stunt double. So naturally, he would look a lot like Captain Kirk.
Yeah,
I love that they put that in. The only weird thing about it, there's only this one little shot where one of the Klingons, who was not from the original series, that they had to recreate one of the Klingons, and they just messed the makeup up so bad. It just looked like they took like an orange paint roller to his face or something, and it really makes you appreciate the makeup artist from the original show. How careful and detailed, and how how much character they were able to put into those makeup jobs, whether it was Spock or the Klingons or anybody else. They really did a good job on that show, and I think some of the later shows did not do as good of a job with those things.
I absolutely love that also Worf mentioned that they drill Worf about the ridges on the forehead and why the Klingons didn't have them. We don't talk about that. Actually, it will be explained in a later show called Enterprise. But,
yes, it will.
Yeah.
And it's weird.
Yeah, but when they were keeping their clothes on in Enterprise, it was kind of weird. But yeah. Anyway, Merv, you have another one?
Yeah. What I would say, I really liked Apocalypse Rising, but I think this is the best Klingon episode of the season. Soldiers of the Empire,
Hmm.
where essentially Worf, Martok, and Dax go on like a side mission, essentially, and the whole time Martok's in command, and he is failing because this is after his imprisonment and the abuse that he suffered, and he's essentially lost his edge as a Klingon and as a commander, and he doesn't want to put himself at risk anymore. But no, everyone's getting a little unruly. There's basically a like a coup about to happen. And Dax sees it, but Worf kind of stands back, and then Dax has to convince Worf to step in, and then Worf challenges Martok to a knife fight, and Martok wins it, but it's he doesn't kill Worf because I think they get like attacked at that moment or something. Something distracts him, but at the same time, Martok gets his groove back, so to speak,
Hmm.
and then realizes what happened after the fact and invites Worf into the House of Martok, since Worf is now like without a house and without like any valor or whatever.
Hmm.
So just from that perspective, from a Worf centric perspective and a Martok perspective, I thought that was all great. It really showed their camaraderie, how Worf is helping him through this trauma essentially at this moment in the only way Klingons know how, which is to challenge him to a fight to the death. So
Yeah.
yeah, I thought it was great.
Yeah. Well, with death ends the trauma.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's true. Taylor, you have another pick?
So many. Um, going. I'm not going to get into this episode, but just going along with what Merv just said, the whole conflict with the Klingons as a side story and as a thread has a whole lot of positives to it as far as storytelling goes. There's that one episode where Bashir and Jake are basically in a battlefield on a planet, and Jake learns about courage and combat and how horrible it all is. So that was a good episode too. But there was one I wanted to talk about here. There's the one side quest episode where um, they go back in time, or they hit a time loop. Children of Time. That's the name of it. Um, and it's a really fun, cool episode about what happens if you change the timeline and you create people that aren't in your timeline. When you fix it, do you kill those people, or did those people never actually exist in the first place? But um, the key takeaway from this is, finally, you talked about how um, um, Keiko was kind of dense about what was happening between Kira and O'Brien. Kira herself was so freaking dense that it wasn't until season 5, episode 22, that she finally learns that Odo is in love with her. Okay, we all knew it from the first season that Odo was in love with her. But it was this
Hmm.
episode where Odo does, basically, the alternate universe Odo allows himself
Yeah.
and everyone he knows to die just to save Kira's
Yeah.
life. And that's where she finally learns that Odo loves her. And it was the
Yeah.
alternate universe Odo that told her, and then she breaks it breaks it to the real Odo, that she knows that he loves he loves her. But again, yeah,
Hmm.
how she didn't know? I mean, most women can tell when a guy's into him, but not Kira.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe Kara has spent much time in battle to be open for that kind of stuff.
Maybe
Maybe,
so.
but it makes kind of sense for her character,
Yeah,
and she has a bad taste in men.
she does.
Yeah. I mean, if you make a list of her boyfriends, it's yeah.
It's a long list.
Yeah, but they're also all troublesome. But anyway,
Yeah.
Merv, one final pick for you.
Yeah. I'm gonna go with the Begotten, which
Hmm.
is it's another episode, and I feel like they did this a couple times where Odo gets to become a father in a way.
Hmm.
They already did an episode where he kind of adopts a Jem'Hadar and tries to prevent it from becoming a Jem'Hadar in its nature. Uh, but this one has him. I think Quark has some cargo or something that is actually baby shape. shapeshifter, changeling,
Mm-hmm.
and so Odo at this point doesn't have his powers, or he's regular human again, or for the first time, and he kind of adopts it and looks after it and tries to get it to evolve and do new things. And the
Mm-hmm.
doctor comes back. Is it Shakar or no? Mora
Dr.
Mora.
Mora.
Yeah. That doctor comes back and kind of assists him, and I thought it was really interesting. I like, again, I like that they give this to Odo in this moment. Just um, the fatherdom that he kind of takes on, for lack of a better word. Like
Mm-hmm.
it really was an emotional connection during this episode. They really sold it that he is grieved whenever he can't essentially save this baby changeling.
Mm-hmm.
So instead, like the changeling essentially becomes a part of him and gives him his shape-shifting ability and reconnects him to or does that happen? Maybe he doesn't. I can't remember. Um,
Yeah,
whether or not he's reconnected to the pool. Like I know he's a changeling again, but I can't remember if he actually has that connection again.
no, I don't think he
Yeah.
has the connect. He still has the memories, but
Yeah,
there's no reconnection until he makes physical contact with someone who has recently been there.
right. That's what
Mm.
I thought because I remember some plot from later episodes, but I couldn't get it all straight. But yeah, I really enjoyed that, and also this is the episode where Kira gives birth, which
Yep.
is pretty
Hilarious.
Yes.
crazy.
But of course, the Duchess' position, of course, is it's not her baby. She has to give up
Yeah,
her child as well, just like Odo has to, loses the child he had. So it's
yeah.
kind of beautiful.
There, there's like
Yeah.
that bonding moment of they're both kind of grieving at the same time at the
Right.
end. So yeah, I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I just want to mention one more episode, which I really, 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 really enjoy, and that's because it's a callback to an earlier episode. It's Ties of Blood and Water, where Tekeni Gamora comes back to Deep Space Nine to die, basically, and Tekeni Gamora was the Cardassian, I want to say senator or something, or a member of Central Command, I should say, which was where Kira was made a Cardassian by the Obsidian Order to draw him out because he was involved with the Resistance. And then he comes back, and then it turns out that he was involved in shady stuff. So, and then Kira goes through a moment where she is like, "Okay, I love this man, but I hate this man, and I love this man."
Right.
And actually, well written episode, which really is about forgiveness, and it's about what's more important. And it's I really love that episode. So I should mention it. I can't really take those kind of episodes in my over. Well, I promised
Yeah.
I would do the overarching story, but this is like such a beautiful episode.
Yeah.
It's
Another side plot that happens throughout this season is the whole Eddington and the Maquis subplot. And in Blaze of Glory episode is where it comes to a head, and Eddington is killed, and the Maquis is pretty much all but destroyed by the Dominion.
Yeah.
And we also this season we find out that Vorta are immune to most poisons.
Along the same Eddington Maquis lines, Cisco like poisons a whole planet, and they're just like, "Yeah, good." Kind of not exactly a good act, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cisco will do what he has to do sometimes,
Yeah, but what was it? The needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few or the one. So that comes back in this. Yeah, but that's Star Trek for you.
Well,
It makes you think.
Eddington is sort of his nemesis for a while there, and he gets desperate trying to stop him.
Yeah, the callback to Les Miserables. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we could go on and hours and hours and hours, but I still have to ask you guys my standard question at the end of our review for Deep Space Nine. As you guys know, we're gonna do a top 10 of favorite Deep Space Nine episodes at the end of our review series, which will be in 2 months, in July. It's coming close, so I hope you guys are working on that list. Taylor, do you think there are episodes from season 5 that will make your top 10 list?
Absolutely, there are. That much I can say.
Yeah, I have a feeling which ones will be in the list, but I guess there will also be in Merv's list and in my list. Well, I will also make a list. Merv, do you think episodes from season 5 will make your top 10 list?
Absolutely, there are.
Are there now seasons where you think, probably not?
Yeah, you know, I don't want it to be recency bias, so I will have to sit back and like really think about it. But I'm looking at you first couple of seasons. You know,
Yeah, and they are still great.
Yeah.
there's nothing against them. It's just things escalate and they kind of get better as they go. So
And there's so much more to come. I'm just thinking about Empok Noor and Ferengi.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Like I said, about like the first 10 episodes of season 6 could be on someone's 10 best episode list, you know.
The last 10 episodes of season 6 could be in someone's top 10 list. So yeah, there's so much great stuff. Maybe we should just extend it to top 25. That makes everything easier. But we'll stick to top 10, people. We'll stick to top 10.
Right.
Otherwise, we have a whole show about this. Okay.
We got to have some honorable mentions that didn't make the list.
First, I do my 100 honorable mentions. Then I will do my 10 favorites. That will conclude this month's episode of the Star Trek Project. We hope you have enjoyed our discussion today. If you did, help us out, like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel and to this video. You can share, of course, and like it. Let it show up on other people's pages. If you really want more of us, you can join our forum at sakar.freeforums.net. We would love it if you do that. In episode 27 of the Star Trek Project, next month, that is, we will be discussing Star Trek Deep Space Nine Season 6. And, spoiler alert, I think it's the best season of Star Trek ever made. You can also check out the final episodes for our review series for Daredevil Born Again Season 2 and Maul Shadowlord. They're both on the channel. And soon, we will be reviewing The Mandalorian and Grogu, but we will do that in the first weekend of June. So that will also be the first time we will be back, because somebody has to go on holiday again. Yes, it's me. For now, I want to thank you all also on behalf of Merv and Taylor, and wish you to live long and prosper. Bye.